I'm doing something that I don't normally do, or at least have never done, and I'm totally gonna do a tag. I'm so excited. I don't even care that like three of you watch this. Whatever. You guys are awesome. And one day, when I'm old, I'll look back and be like, whoa. And that's probably it. That's all I'll think. But I don't care. Okay, on to the tags. Oh, and it's called the first tag, which is cool. Okay, so my first tweet was done as okay, I couldn't find my old Twitter because I deleted it, so I did my new Twitter, and I will insert a picture of my first tweet right here. Bam. So that was my first tweet. I actually changed my Twitter name from Erin Bunier to Bunier Photography because when I made my photography page, I wanted more things to have that name so that I would kind of have like a unified presence online. And my photography page looks like this. Well, actually, no, not my photography page, but like this is where I got my Twitter name from, right here. That's it. That's my first tweet. My first YouTube video I actually did so long ago. Like so long ago. To the point where I'll put a picture in because I thought it was cool to do it instead of just on a normal looking thing. I did it using like the four colors. Here you'll see. Yeah, that happened. Wow. Um, and it was called like Quattro Cool Lights or something. I mean, looking back, it's still funny because it's me, so I'm just rambling and being weird, but that was pretty fun. My first Facebook profile picture, um, I'll just insert it. I think I'm 15 in this, and I was working at a summer camp for mentally challenged slash, you know, cool kids. Um, and they were amazing, and still love that job and like would recommend it to anybody working with mentally handicapped, mentally challenged kids because they are by far the greatest. um, so do you still talk to your first love? I do not. No. We stopped talking or being friends 2 years ago. 2 years ago. My first alcoholic drink, actually, my parents used to let me drink alcoholic drinks when I was little, and then they stopped when I was like, my stomach hurts. So I was around 8, and I loved dreamsicles. Seriously, they're so good. My first job, when I was 13 and we moved to this neighborhood, we used to live in a really sketchy neighborhood, but this neighborhood, super nice. It has sidewalks, guys. Sidewalks. I started a pet care business, so I would walk one dog every day, and I did that for over 5 years. Wow, I wish I had saved that money. Um, and I pet sitted and did all this fun stuff. My first car, I'm not a car person. I can tell you that it could seat 8 people. It was a hatchback, it was long. The back windows only rolled down halfway, and there was no air conditioning. Wow, and it was a clunker. It was white. The first person to text me today, Veronica. I love her. The first person I thought of this morning was my friend who, the one you guys know, the friendship that has ended. I was hoping that he would have texted me and try and make it not so terrible, but he did not. Um, my first grade teacher was, oh wait, okay, I remember my first grade teacher. I remember what she looks like, and I have no idea what her name is. For all of my school life, from second to 12th grade, I went to the same private school, but for first grade, I went to this little tiny school called Kenwood. Looking back, it was sketchy. It was just in a couple houses. Random, but I have no idea what her name was. Where did I go on my first plane ride? Okay, my first plane ride that I remember was to Texas when I was 18. Literally, I graduated high school. 3 days later, I got on a plane and went to my best friend's house in Texas. It was in Stephenville, Texas, and there is a college there, so it was a college town, and it was amazing. It was my first taste of Texas, and I loved it. I loved the hill country. I loved just the country that you could just walk around. Clearly, this was not in Stephenville. We would go to Llano, which is where her grandmother lived, and you could just walk in a field and nobody would hear you. And like if you wanted to scream, you could just scream if you wanted. Nobody was around, and that was my first taste of that, and it was amazing. I still love Texas for that. Who was my first best friend? My first best friend was like in kindergarten, and no way, we do not still talk. I don't remember their last names at all. My first sleepover was probably in, I guess, second or third grade, probably third, at my friend Brianna's house, and we all painted our nails. And I remember thinking for the first time that I am just one, I don't like social situations. I didn't obviously have that term when I was that young, but I remember being really overwhelmed by everybody there. And that I wasn't as girly as everybody else. I remember not really digging painting my nails. I don't know. It was weird. But Brianna also had an older sister who I was really intimidated by. And so Brianna spent a lot of time, and like at her party, she had kind of wanted it to be like her older sister's slumber party. So it was all about boys and bras, and we were way too young for that. What was the first thing I did this morning? Probably hit the snooze button. I had to get up early this morning, and then I ended up not having to have gotten up so early. We won't get into that. But yeah, snooze button every morning. The first concert I ever went to was Britney Spears, back before she was slutty. Okay, guys, she wasn't even slutty back then. That's how old I am. And it was awesome because I was in the second row. And no matter who you see, if you're in the second row, you are having a good time. My first broken bone, I have not had one. I've had a bone crack, and it was my shoulder, the socket inside, cracked when I was 5. My first piercing, I got my ears done, my first holes, when I was 9 or 12. I think I was 12. I was really scared for a very long time, and now I can get a piercing like nobody's business. First foreign country, Mexico. We went on a cruise when I was in the summer after 8th grade, and I hated it because I was in a really bad mood because I couldn't go to my friend's house in Texas. First movie I remember seeing, I was told the first movie that I saw in theaters was Lion King, but I think the first movie would be like Little Mermaid that I actually remember, or E.T. I remember seeing E.T. at a very young age. My first detention, I actually don't remember. I used to be in after school care every day until 5 or 5:30, until I could drive. So a lot of the times you kind of had somewhat of a free roam depending on the teachers because nobody really cared. But a lot of the times, unless I wanted to be in a gym, and I was a reader, so I didn't want to be in a gym, I would end up in the detention room doing my own thing with all the bad kids surrounding me, doing detention. So I had done detention for forever. So when I finally got my detention, it wasn't a big deal. Instead of reading or doing homework, I just had to do what they were doing. And because I was in a Christian school, a bad Christian school, we actually had to turn to a section of the Bible and just start copying. That was fun. That's a good way to make sure that you don't like the Bible. My first roommate, I have not actually had one yet. So that's pretty fun. If I had one wish, what would it be? I haven't actually read over these. Probably to live in the same place as everybody that I love, including my parents, my grandparents, and my faraway friends, and my here friends. I wish we could all live on the same street, and that would be flippin' amazing. Now, none of them want to live in the same places. Like, my parents would never live in Texas. My friend Kristen, who lives in Texas, would never live somewhere else because she loves where she lives. Even though I know she's lived other places. Kristen, don't get on me. You know what I mean. my friend Stephanie should probably move to New York, girl. Start being an actress and whatnot. And my best friend Veronica, she will always live here because her family lives here. So it will never happen, but that's my one wish. What was the first sport you were involved in? Soccer, 6th grade. So clumsy and intimidated by the older girls. What is the first thing you do when you get home? Um, the first thing I do when I get home is hang up my keys and take off my shoes. Yeah. And when was my first kiss? I was 19. Yeah, I was 19 and it was in July. If I remember correctly, it was July 6th of 2009. And I kissed them and then I got on a plane and I came home and the next day I got on another plane and went to Puerto Rico. So, you kiss somebody for the first time. I initiated it too. Well, bam. And then you leave the country. That's what you do, kids. Also, fun fact, I've only ever kissed 3 people in my life. So, that's super fun. Although when I was in 1st grade, I butterfly kissed this boy named Eric, and it was a very big deal. So, gasp. Alright, so those are my firsts. And that's about it. Well, okay, people. It's time to say goodbye. Goodbye.